So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks for being flexible for doing things a little different than we normally do. But we would just like to continue on with our Wheat Ambassador program. And we're on to the step of our presentations that we look forward to each year. So WAG is excited to continue the Washington Wheat Ambassador program, which offers 2 youth leaders the opportunity to advocate for our industry. The Ambassador program is both a leadership and scholarship program that has seen some outstanding youth representatives prosper and continue in the ag industry. We look forward to watching our newly selected ambassadors grow in their leadership role. The Wheat Ambassador program is available to high school seniors whose parents are WAG members. I'd like to thank the Ambassador Subcommittee that keeps this program growing. As we move on to the new year, we are excited to introduce you to the 2020-2021 Washington Wheat Ambassadors. The anonymous judges reported another year of outstanding applicants, all very well qualified and well-rounded young adults. Still, 2 had to be selected, and it is our pleasure to introduce Grace Hanning and Julia Klein, who will serve in the coming year. Today, they will complete the final step of the selection process. We still have a $5,000 scholarship and a $4,500 scholarship to announce. Grace and Julia will now present on a topic of their choice. We will start with Grace, and I will show her application video.
Hi, my name is Grace Hanning, and I am a senior at Goldendale High School. I'm coming to you from the barnyard of my family's wheat and cattle ranch here in Centerville, Washington. I've lived in Klickitat County for about 10 years now. Inside of school, I am the Goldendale FFA chapter president as well as student body president. I am also a part of the varsity cheerleading and basketball teams. Outside of school, I am involved in 4-H. I love working on my family's cattle ranch, riding my horse, and showing my cattle at multiple shows throughout the year. After high school, I plan on attending a 4-year university to study agriculture. Wheat is very important to my family, and I appreciate the opportunity to become an ambassador. Thank you for your consideration.
Grace is the daughter of Josh and Kelsey Hanning. A student of Goldendale High School, Grace has maintained a strong grade point average while also completing Running Start courses at Walla Walla Community College. The Hanning family operates a wheat and cattle operation near Centerville, where Grace has been very active. In addition to serving as ASB and FFA president, Grace participates in basketball, cheerleading, honor society, link crew, FBLA, and is an active member of the Northwest Junior Charlet Association. Grace has been accepted to the University of Idaho and is considering a career in ag business or communication. So we will now turn it over to Grace for her presentation.
In South Central Washington, where I live, the mighty Columbia River and her dams, bridges, massive grain elevators, ports, and ships are hard to miss. Also hard to miss are the abundant fishing boats and nets harvesting the salmon that call the river home. Those involved on a deeper level know the emotional discussions and ever-continuing court cases that this brings about the survival of the fish and the need for renewable energy, irrigation, recreation, and most importantly to us, navigation. All emotions aside, Northwest agriculture groups and others believe the science shows the dams and fish can cohabitate. As early as 1896, work began to make the river more navigable. In the early 1900s, the federal government started showing an increased interest in claiming the rivers for multi-use. While hydropower was the major driver, navigation was not far behind. In 1932, it was proposed to build 8 dams on the Columbia River. All of these would be for the purposes of irrigation, water power, flood control, and navigation. Work began on the first dam, Bonneville, in 1933, and the others soon followed. Roosevelt's New Deal created such a large public works fund that by 1975, ships could travel all the way from the ocean to Lewiston, Idaho. Today, there are 14 dams on the Columbia River and 5 on the Lower Snake. While the larger dams are owned and operated by the federal government, the smaller ones are owned by power companies. All of the dams have fish ladders and other ways for the fish to get through. So why are the dams important to wheat ranchers? Well, 50% of all U.S. wheat exports go through the Columbia Snake system. making it the largest export way in the country and the third largest export gateway in the entire world. From the elevators at the ports, the grain moves on barges as part of a larger tow. One tow of 4 barges can hold 500,000 bushels of wheat and keeps 538 trucks off of our roadways. This is equal to 330,000 trucks per year. So where do the dams stand today? Well, the Army Corps of Engineers, Bureau of Reclamation, and Bonneville Power Administration recently published a joint record of decision on the Columbia River Environmental Impact Statement. This comes after a years-long process of public comment and research involving many agencies. The statement says that the dam should continue operations and not be breached. However, the environmental group Earth Justice soon filed intent to file suit against the agencies running the dams for violating the Endangered Species Act as it pertains to the listed species of fish. Northwest interest groups have sent a letter to the governors of Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, pointing out that many environmental groups embrace the dams as an important factor of climate change, which is important for fish survival, and that there is no data that suggests that the dams themselves are harmful to the fish. There's a lot of sound research going into this I will not get into here. But the letter asks that the leaders use sound science when working on salmon recovery. All invested eyes will be carefully monitoring the next steps on both sides, and there is no doubt that this will be an issue that will not be easily resolved. Wheat ranchers have a very large stake in the survival of the dams, and there is no doubt that they will be following the ongoing court cases while fighting to keep the dams standing on the mighty Columbia and Snake Rivers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd like to now introduce Julia Klein and her application video.
Hello, my name is Julia Klein and I'm from Ritzville, Washington. My family runs a dry land wheat and cattle operation and I've been riding on equipment since I was little. I started out driving grain cart and then I moved up to combine, and this last summer I got to drive semi-truck and I discovered that was my true passion. During COVID this spring, I also had the privilege of working with my grandpa, learning how the finances on the farm work. Here at the shop we have our legacy wall, and I'm the 5th generation of our family farm. My great-grandpa Joris Swally was a charter member of WAG. WAG has always been a big part of our family operation. During high school, I've been involved with FFA as I had the opportunity to go to nationals for agronomy. I've also done FBLA, Honor Society, and then for sports, I've done volleyball, basketball, cross country, track and field, but my absolute favorite is riding on my equestrian team with this boy Tex, and we represented Ritzville Rodeo this year as Ritzville Rodeo Queen, and I can't wait to represent WAG.
Julia is the daughter of Jake and Alicia Klein, and their multi-generation family farm is near Ritzville. Julia has maintained a strong grade point average at Lynn Ritzville High School, while also completing running start courses through Eastern Washington University. She also excels out of the classroom by being very active in school and community activities. Her interests include being involved in 3 varsity sports, FFA, Honor Society, Link Crew, FBLA, and she is a member of the Washington High School equestrian team. Julia plans to obtain a BS in biology, pre-medicine, and eventually a doctorate of chiropractic. We'll turn it over to Julia.
Yes.
You guys can hear me? Okay.
Yep.
As Laura just said, my name is Julia Klein. Over the years, I have been very involved on the farm. It started out when I was younger. I always helped my grandpa with cows and running equipment with my dad. And then once I got old enough, I jumped right in and I helped out driving grain cart and then eventually moved up to combine. This year, COVID has also opened up a couple extra opportunities for me. This spring, I worked in the shop office with my grandpa and I got to learn how the finances on the farm work. I helped with paying bills, reconciling accounts, and balancing the corporations. Not only will these skills be helpful for me later on in life, but it also gave me a much better perspective of how the finances and economics in farming work. This fall, I also stepped up and helped with seeding to prepare for next year's crop. And while I'm very grateful for these experiences operating field machinery, I discovered that my true passion is on the road. This summer, I drove semi-truck hauling wheat from the field to the local elevators. And what I absolutely love most about semi-truck is the people I got to meet on the roads and at the different elevators. I'm definitely a people person. The previous summer, I took a break from helping out on the farm and I went and worked at a local coffee stand simply because I wanted some more social interaction. I found that semi-truck was a great middle ground for me because I wasn't as isolated, but I could still help out with harvest. There was definitely a learning curve learning how to drive semi-truck, but once I got acclimated, I absolutely loved it. During harvest, my dad sent me to several different elevators, but the one that had the largest impact on me was the Templin Terminal. The Templin Terminal is Ritzel Warehouse's unit train loading facility. Before driving truck, I had driven by it countless times, but I didn't realize how massive those wheat piles actually are or how elaborate of an operation it was until I was driving there every single day. The Templin Terminal is located just northeast of Ritzville and now has a total of 7 wheat piles. Driving truck allowed me to better grasp how much wheat was being hauled into there every day and how many people were involved in order to make an operation so large work so smoothly. No matter when I was dumping, there was always trucks coming in and out of there. And then towards the end of harvest, they had a train come that was loaded to move wheat from the terminal down to the ports in Portland for export. It made me realize that my job hauling wheat from the elevator, from the fields to the elevator was only a small step in the larger transportation process. So when I decided to talk about my experience driving truck and the transportation system, Wheat Life came out with their cover story addressing the 3 modes of transportation, including the rails, rivers, and roads. Transporting wheat involves much more than just hauling wheat by trucks. According to Wheat Life, approximately 85 to 90% of Eastern Washington's wheat crop is exported overseas. In order for this to happen, wheat has to get down to the ports in Portland. Washington and the Pacific Northwest rely heavily on all 3 forms of transportation in order to make this happen. No one form of transportation can manage transferring the entire wheat crop. For example, if the dams were removed and barges couldn't be used, it would put an unrealistic amount of stress on the railways and trucks. My experience driving the truck has made me realize there is so much more for me to learn about the transportation system, as well as marketing, trade deals, politics, and other issues involving ag. I'm also really looking forward to better understanding how WOG lobbies and defends local farms and companies within these agricultural issues. And while there's still plenty of room for me to grow, I'm looking forward to applying the experience and knowledge that I already have with farming in order to represent WOG. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to be a WOG ambassador and represent the wheat community. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia and Grace. I see Wheat Life articles in your future, very near. So Grace and Julia will go through leadership training and will represent Washington wheat farmers at various civic and community events this year. They both will also participate in advocacy efforts in Olympia with WOG leaders this coming January. Later today, we will announce who will receive each scholarship at the annual meeting. It begins at 1 p.m. and we look forward to seeing you again then. Have a great rest of your day and thank you for joining us.